What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I'm going to give you an overview of what happened with Lucid, go over some of the data points, what shorts did, which was very surprising, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Lucid did close 0.53% in the green, breaking this, 7 consecutive red day streak. Absolutely craziness, but 24.6 million shares being traded, 36.5 is the average. No news or SEC filings from Lucid itself, so it was just merely piggybacking off of their broader market. And you do see, oddly enough, on social media, a lot of people jumping up and down with joy for Lucid closing 2 cents in the green. And on my videos, I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And based on Lucid and how it's been over the last year and a half, I have been very, very disappointed. I'm sure, as you can tell sometimes. I still do believe in Lucid bigger picture, still own it in multiple different accounts, but for anyone to sit there or comment saying, you know what, like Lucid is going to amazing, like it's going to go to $10 by the end of January, I feel like there's just maybe a new level of lunatics that are in Lucid right now. Because for anyone to think that Lucid is going to go above $10 by the end of January, like 1 month or less than 1 month away, that is just absurd. And I feel like even on social media, I do come off as a bear, where I don't mean to be. I just like to inform individuals. Because even this, for instance, this individual saying that Lucid insider trading on NASDAQ shows a whopping 268 million shares being bought versus 2.5 million shares being sold in the last 12 months. That's another level of leadership confidence. So this is very just full of misinformation, because technically insiders did not buy. Like, obviously there's a big difference in Lucid's case between the PIF and insiders. So there's no level of management itself that did use any of their own money to buy. The 2 transactions that they're referring to that was buys were just the PIF. So as you can kind of see, December the 27th right here. And then the only other transaction code P, which obviously is just purchasing using their own physical money, was on June the 26th. And once again, that was the PIF. So when it comes down to social media, make sure you guys always do your own due diligence, because there's a lot of people out there trying to pump a lot of stocks, not necessarily just Lucid. So again, that's just more my side tangent. I still do believe in the company. As I've said, I own it in multiple different accounts. Just the level of pumping that's been happening over the last little bit is absolutely absurd. So obviously, like I said, do your own due diligence. Aside from that though, you can tell that there is a lot of frustration in the broader market among long investors. Like for instance, even this individual saying that we need a new partnership or something like in like the short term, immediately. And I feel like Lucid does have a good opportunity to really hit home with that. Like I've said in previous videos, technically from now until maybe the end of 2024, there's a leg. There's no catalyst up until the gravity is unveiled. Of course, they can have the actual reservations open up for the gravity. That'll probably be in the next several weeks, in my opinion, but there is a good opportunity for them to kind of launch some licensing agreements. And I have brought this up in the past. So this kind of shows the general logistics for the 2030 vision and obviously every kind of touch that the PIF does have. So through Lucid though, we have Aston Martin, so that licensing agreement. But if you think about it, it could be Sear, and same goes for Polestar or many others out there. So there's a lot of opportunity for Lucid to really hit it home and get a lot of revenue coming in. Maybe they don't actually ramp up to their fullest ability on production, but they can actually have their technology licensed out. And keep in mind, so far from what I've seen, there hasn't been that many big updates to their technology. So if Lucid doesn't start to innovate once again, in a couple of years, their technology is just going to be standard across the board now. So Lucid might as well license out their technology, get as much revenue in sooner rather than later, and then that way they can use that money that is coming in to innovate their technology to kind of make it next level even from here. That's just my own opinion. Hopefully in the next couple quarters, by maybe even the Q4 earnings in the next couple of weeks or whenever that is. Technically they haven't announced it yet on a side note, but that's something that Lucid can actually do in the short term, or just once again, as I've said in the past, kickstart the ESS. But aside from that though, based on the options activity, there was $1.05 million in calls being done today, 2 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 51% of all the options being done today was bearish. So even though the broader market was rallying, Lucid kind of broke that trend, that downtrend. People are still bearish on Lucid, as crazy as that sounds. Looking at the call options though, there's anticipation for it to be above $4, and that has just gone killed, absolutely killed. There was a big consensus initially that it was going to be at 550 by this week, and now 5, then 450, and now people just keep lowering their standards and hoping for it to be above $4. So like I said, just Lucid is not doing good in my opinion, especially comparing it to even other EVs out there. But moving on, looking at some of the puts though, it is anticipated for it to be sub 350 by the end of next week and sub $3 by the end of next week. So more of a continuation of the downtrend. Looking on shorts, so I have said this time and time again, in my opinion, I really would like the PIF to do something about this, because shorts increased 4.01 million shares. They are incredibly bold right now. 25.11% of the free float is being shorted. 222.31 million shares overall are being shorted. So think about that for a second. So today's volume, 24.6 million shares were traded. And so essentially, like almost 2 weeks equivalently worth of volume is in shorts. So like if there ever was a good catalyst with Lucid, I kind of would debate saying that Lucid is a squeeze play, because you know, like shorts are massively overextended, but Lucid's not really doing anything to rectify that. So once again, this is just something that needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later, and ideally from the PIF. But looking at cost to borrow, it is very cheap still, so 3.85%, a little bit lower in comparison to Friday. And through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate that there's around 850,000 shares available to be shorted. And just quickly going over some of the technicals, today was kind of okay, if that makes sense. So with it closing at $3.80, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So this S1 did hold fairly well today. So $3.74 is going to be that next strong support. It kind of did bounce off of that, and that's what gave Lucid a nice momentum for it to close green, despite the NASDAQ itself being up 2.11%. So Lucid still was destined to be red today, being the 8th or 9th or whatever it is consecutive day. Like the technicals kind of saved Lucid, but definitely something needs to change sooner rather than later. And $3.95 is going to be that next strong resistance that you'll want to watch for it to break above. So let me know your thoughts on that. But moving on, looking at the momentum indicator, shows number of retail investors we're getting in today. And stochastic, you do see it at 3, no defined trend right now, but with it at 3, it is just mind-blowingly oversold. So once again, if Lucid can just put out any piece of news where it has substance and it doesn't have any strings attached to it equivalently, then you're going to see a rush of value investors. A lot of institutions and hedge funds scouring the market looking for discounted plays. And for instance, companies that didn't participate in the most recent rally. And Lucid had basically 2 days worth of kind of participating in that rally. Well, I guess one day, and then the other day was just red, but technically since then it's just been down, whereas the broader market kind of has been significantly higher. So once again, Lucid just did not participate whatsoever in this recent Santa Claus rally. Kind of flew over our house, didn't deliver any packages, absolutely horrible. So if Lucid does show some signs of at least some catalyst in the short term, that is going to bring in value investors. Just right now, a lot of people are looking at Lucid and be like, what are you guys doing? Like why would I buy Lucid right now? So that is kind of the question that Lucid needs to think about and put themselves in hedge funds position, and that way they can hopefully answer that. So this upcoming Q4 earnings is going to be absolutely key, and hopefully they do have someone very good that can replace 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗛 in backing up Peter, because Peter, again, not hating on him or anything, but he's not the best at answering a lot of statements and questions. So hopefully they have a good opportunity to give some future guidance and whatever else. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. So going into the next couple days, you really want to watch the technicals. CPI data is coming out on Thursday. That's going to really push the market higher or potentially break down the market a little bit more. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Lucid? I myself, the last time I did buy was at 390 or 91, somewhere around there. Fairly recently though. So I'm happy with taking advantage of these discounted prices. But still, regardless, I'm very frustrated on just the performance of everything. It should not be here by any means. It should be at least, in my opinion, $5 plus, but I don't know. That's just maybe too hopeful. And one final thing I wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. It has been extended up until January the 15th. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. This is an absolutely crazy deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. So take advantage of this while you can. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.